Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
And welcome back to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. This is Chris Parker, and this is Movember. So we are together watching my mustache grow in. If you're watching this on video, it's getting more and more bushy. I'm not sure if I like it. I'm curious if you can comment on wherever you're watching this, if you like or dislike the mustache, then give me some feedback, because there are some arguments on whether I should have a full goatee, ring beard, come back in, or keep the mustache or go clean shaven. I think we will talk with Tjibbe van der Zeeuw about my mustache very, very quickly, and many other things. But before I get into that, remember, Movember is raising awareness for men's health, and that's men's physical health and mental health. And my request to everyone is, if you haven't spoken to someone in quite some time, and you care about them, reach out, just say hello, see how they're doing, check in, and really see, if they need someone to talk to, because this is a crazy time in humanity, and that's the least we can do for our friends and families and brothers. So please, get into Movember by reaching out and telling someone that you care about them. Tjibbe van der Zeeuw is a matchmaker and a business owner and an entrepreneur. And I'm really interested in having this conversation. I've known Tjibbe for quite some time. We have, I think, 260 similar contacts on LinkedIn. So I think the network is extremely overlapping.
We've got the same friends.
We have got the same friends. And I'm really fascinated because, people that I've known for quite some time, I'm always learning new and fascinating things on these conversations. So Tjibbe, welcome. Thank you for joining. Can you please?
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Yeah. Can you please share with everyone, Tjibbe, what is it that you do and why do you do what you do?
Interesting question, because I always tell everybody I'm not a professional. I can't do anything, but it seems like I know everybody. So I made my profession in knowing everybody, and you can do that as a matchmaker. Then you can make money. Can make money of it. I think people used to call it executive searcher or recruiter, but there's much more combinations to make in bringing people together. Sometimes it's fun, like you do now on the on the podcast like this, but also it's very strange. I noticed in the past that although I thought everybody, because we share a lot of friends, everybody knows each other because you see them on the same events or in the same and then stupid enough they didn't know each other, and there was a lot of richness come out, people bringing people together and share knowledge or share insights or share intelligence. And I didn't find a job which made it possible to do it. So I created my own job in it and built a little company around it. Yeah. And it makes me a very proud guy. I think I've the best job for me in the world. Yeah.
And I think it's not only that so many people, but my observation is that you are genuinely curious and about people. Whenever I talk to you, and I mentioned I'm working on something, you always have like 3 or 4 other questions to dive deeper on discovering exactly what and why. And I find that curiosity is probably part of why you know so many people. What do you think?
Yeah, of course, there are written many books about networking, and you always can find some transaction out networking, but I think everybody knows or feels if somebody is only collecting something from knowing each other, and if you bring in something, then it always pays back. Is if it isn't on the short term, it's always on the long term, and I think maybe curiosity is one thing. You always have the question behind the question, but you all for me I always remember stupid things about people, and that makes the contact very personal about, I don't know, the kids, or where they had a bicycle accident, or and one way or the other, it always is knowledge which is useful in bringing people together.
I'm going to really regret this question. What's the stupidest thing you remember about me? So those 10 things you just thought of,
it has to do
don't
with,
talk about it.
Some moments on Ibiza, and I don't think it's to be shared on an international platform like this. Yeah.
I am also actually proud of those moments in Ibiza, so we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
so,
it was beautiful days. Yeah.
Well, I think the curiosity, but it's and networking. Oftentimes, people are sometimes selfish in it, and I think there's something about you that that genuine curiosity and that genuine care and the need to connect. What is it within you, or what's the deeper reason why that comes so naturally to you? Because it doesn't come naturally to many people.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think the main driver of my life is to trust other people, or to trust the process, and in that then curiosity is always okay, because there is a trust in that it will bring somebody, and I think it's reversible. I don't know if it's the correct word, because I trust you, you trust me, and then curiosity is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And if there's no trustworthy in the relationship, then you're going to be very awkward with questions you get to answer them, because you're at least a little, how you say, well, you don't want to tell everything to somebody you don't trust.
Yeah. Well, in the spirit of trust, and I'm curious how open you'll be, because for many people, including myself, matchmaking or executive search is kind of a black art. It's a mystery on how that works, because you're working with multiple sides of a conversation. There's an organization that has a leadership team, and they have many opinions and personalities, and then their own culture and what they think they need and what they actually need. And then in the network, you have people and then people you find. There's different strategies there. How does that matchmaking business work?
I think the mistake made about matchmaking is that people think it's about your skill set, or it's about a resume matching a job profile. And I think that's a huge mistake, because matchmaking is about finding a coalition in some political arena, which is people working together in a management team. You have friends and you have enemies, and somebody new has to be found fitting in the coalition with in the discussion what's going on, and then there is always you have to bring in a set of competence, because everybody can agree about the competence set wanted, but then the real art is in matching the personality and the energy a person can bring in that arena, and I think that's why it's an art, because it's not about finding the right candidate with the right background, but it's analyzing the arena and finding the path through it, where somebody in where you can bring in somebody and who is accepted by everybody in the arena. And maybe that's why my curiosity you mentioned is working, because I'm always asking stupid questions, and people are willing to tell me what's really going on instead of what's on paper or what's for the outside world.
Mm.
And on the other hand, I think if you would be my candidate, you are it's very useful for you to know where you step in. So it's not about the job profile you step in, but it's about the arena where you need to step in and what you need to know about what's going on over there. And I think you have been in management team positions or direction or in senior management, and there's always something going on which is not in a profile and is very useful or very important in finding the right new talent.
And that
does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Well, I think that description, I think, describes the value of a matchmaking professional as an intermediary between the different players on an executive team and in the market, because if you just simply do it by a job profile, which has probably been written by someone in HR that does not know the sensitivities and the what's going on in the jungle around the role.
Very interesting discussion, because there's a lot of buzz going on around. Isn't it the time to get it automated? We have the artificial intelligence and all the machine learning stuff. I think a computer can match thousands of resumes on a job profile within the blink of a second, and I can't. But I think that's not the success story about matchmaking.
Maybe if it's like someone who's going to go flip hamburgers, and it's a very discrete skilled job that you can flip or you can't flip, and that somehow is measurable. But no, it's I'm a bit skeptical, negative about the whole job search flow, the journey, because there's someone who has a need. There's someone who has a need to hire leadership on a team, and then it goes, so call that the true need, and then it gets watered down in an organization, and then 2 levels of HR professional sort of matched it against different job houses and frameworks and templates, and they put that out to market, usually without the details that really people really want. What's the salary? That's all hidden for some reason. And then the candidates are having to sort of artificially paint themselves into a CV or resume, which hardly even match, because the format is different, the language is different. So there's really no way to do that. And then you're going to try to run some sort of AI on it to do keyword search or sentiment analysis and come up with a match. I can at least applaud that they're trying to use systems to do it, because the system's actually broken. And so I think there's a need there. But automating the whole thing, I don't think is the future. Maybe that can help part of it. But what's the best search and, what is the best matchmaking approach, in your opinion? If you could rewrite the story of connecting people from scratch, what would that world look like?
I don't know if I can give a simple answer on that question. I just had an interview with Asti Media And I before this interview, I read it back just to look what I've said, what I have said, and I said, well, the process of in Dutch werving and selection of executive search is very stupid, because you just like you just explained. I think we are now on the start of finding new ways of matching people on jobs, or matching people on opportunities. Maybe that's better. And I think we have to forget all the old conventions of executive search, of recruitment, writing needs on the one hand, finding resumes on the other hand, and match it together. I think that well, there are a lot of more opportunities. For instance, what I do is within the company I work for now, Squadra. We are with 40 people, and they bring in a lot of intelligence about the people they meet in their daily jobs or in their daily assignments, and that's much more useful than a resume. But to bring over that kind of intelligence, you need to have a very trustworthy relation with the hiring side. So they need to see you as a trusted third party and not as a seller of a resume. I think I don't see a lot of management teams open for, but I think if you can one way or the other organize some kind of group assessment in which they have their own part, and you bring in some new talent, I think it's thousand times more effective than having 5 interviews with different, and then agree or disagree about how good a candidate will be. So there are a lot of opportunities, and I think, well, one of the reasons to join you in this conversation is that I'm very open for discussions or for insights. I've contacted a few HR companies, but you are in an international environment. I think it's time now to collect brilliant ideas how to do this better, and how to make it more effective. And I think, of course, you have a lot of assessment organizations, and it's all very instrumental. And I think I need some more agile way of how of finding finding open-minded approaches for matchmaking. And I think it will not stop. So I'm always curious to find new ways, and to suggest out of the box approaches, and the approaches I find now is bring in more, not make it business wise, but bring in more personal ambition versus personal needs. So have a real conversation with each other, instead of what have I done at ABN AMRO and what have I done at and yeah, I don't know if I explained. Does it make sense if I tell you?
Well, the thought that's triggering with me, and this might test if it makes sense, if I'm hearing it right, is the thought that's triggering with me is actually one of economics as well. Because what I also see with organizations is they're trying to, they see the talent acquisition as a cost, and they're trying, and basically they drive the cost down, so they have more and more juniors responsible for talent acquisition, and they try to do it therefore at scale. So how do you scale the talent acquisition? And on the flip side, they are also saying, well, we want the best candidate in the region or whatever. And then their job profiles, then of course, they want that, the 11-legged sheep, or whatever you call it, that literally just, hardly even exists. I laugh sometimes on LinkedIn and places where I see people poking fun at job descriptions. There's, like okay, look, they want 10 years of experience for this technology that's only existed for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or, it's like, what? And so I think the question is what is the ambition? Meaning, do you need the absolute best? And in order to find the absolute best, you need to have surveyed a huge number? Or is there a more humanistic approach and looking at the culture of the organization and the individual? I don't have the answer, but certainly your comments are very triggering.
Well, and I have a background in soccer history in the Netherlands, and in soccer is happening something interesting because it's very old school world in case of they are not very open for all kind of new innovation. But on the other hand, if you play, for instance, in a top soccer team, everything is measured. You have your own KPIs for a game, and then when you come off the pitch, you have your report in your email how you've done in the context of your KPIs, and you have become a whole data profile. Although soccer is emotion and things like that, you have become a data profile. If I, as a soccer team manager, go and look for a new talent on a specific position, I go to your data profile and try to find somebody who fits in, who makes based on the data profile. And it's not the best, but it's the best fitting data profile on your need, and it's not the most valuable or the most expensive it's very interesting, and they are experimenting with it a lot. So there's a lot of transferring of players going on based on their data profile. If there's a Dutch company, you can ask, well, I need somebody who can walk that fast and can jump that high, etc. And then they pop up with 4 players, and then you can contact one. And at the same time, so that's very interesting. At the same time, a lot of players are not that successful starting at a new team. So if we find the linking knowledge to combine that, then I think we can use it a lot in business world. At the other hand, if you are a manager of some kind of business, are you willing to be measured all the time? You go home at evening and then pop, a mail is in your mail. This is your performance of today. This is where you are outperformed yourself, and this is where you underperformed. I don't think in Western world we would accept that. No.
Well, I think the possibilities are definitely emerging with people analytics or HR analytics that you can really determine and predict, for example, turnover in a segment based on the intensity and emotion of contact with internal colleagues with, say, a customer group. Yeah. And all that data is in email, and I think you can even do that just with Azure People Analytics right now. Whether you should do it is another thing completely. And in my world, as you know me, I'm a glorious generalist, meaning I do many things well, but nothing really great. And that's also why, for myself, I sort of shy away from even responding to headhunters when they and certainly applying for something, because I know my magic is in a way, it's in uncertainty and chaos, and so there's no way to even measure that. So if somebody's looking for an operational person to optimize the hamburger flipping, that's something. But if they need to really restructure, the hamburger supply chain and with the technology around that, how would you know what you're going to measure if you don't know what you're going to do? And so this is the flip side of that. And that's, you can also wrap that up in innovation. Innovation, you can have some discipline and some strategy around innovation, but it is inherently an unstructured process. I'm not sure if we're answering any of these questions here, but I think they are marvelous questions to wrestle with. So how do you help companies then and candidates? So let's loop back to your business and like, what is your perfect customer?
Well, you described one. My perfect customer is a customer who don't know what he's looking for because there are too many open ends or too many variables going on, so he can't fit it in one profile or one thought, and then I can help him with make up his thoughts and bring in I've learned to bring in my gut feeling and make gut feeling valuable in the process. So if my ideal candidate of my ideal customer says, well, I don't know, and I say, well, trust me, you need to get to know him because he can really help you, maybe only in that phase or in that phase, and afterwards the guy who wasn't the ideal candidate because he's a jack of all trades instead of a specialist in something, and there starts a glorious or a successful how you say cooperation between everybody's happy and is getting better of it. It's personal growth, I think, is then everybody's happy with me, and then they give me a call. Well, you brought in something in my life I didn't thought myself. Well, I didn't thought about a step like that, and I'm really happy now. That's what makes my day.
Yeah.
It's on two sides because the candidate has to trust my gut feeling in this is a nice opportunity for you, and the customer has to trust my gut feeling. This is, and if my gut feeling isn't right, they spoil precious time and that's of course the pitfall. If I bring two people together and they both after 10 minutes they're not happy with each other, I will hear it for years and years.
Well, I think you are one of the few people, honestly, that when you call and recommend, hey, Chris, you need to talk to that company because they're looking for this. Many of those types of calls I just ignore. But quite frankly, I trust that you know me, and I trust that you authentically, truthfully operate as you just described. And so effectively, I will always take that call because there will be a reason, a meaningful outcome.
Which is stupid because it's my business model.
Well, I mean, it's your business model not to waste time. That's what I just heard. Your business model is not a CV shifting, pile shifting, and just go. Whenever I had conversations with you, I don't feel like I'm a number. I've like, okay, you've thought about it. You know who I am. Okay. So, which is more than most, I think, in the industry. So, and I appreciate that about you. And plus, we go to Ibiza sometimes, which we're not going to talk about. So, you just said gut feeling.
Ibiza? I don't remember.
I don't know. We don't. What happens in Ibiza stays. Yeah. Anyways, but you said intuition and gut feeling, and in your portfolio of companies, you also have machine learning and data science. And so gut feeling doesn't sound very data driven to me. How do you combine those two worlds? Meaning the data and the intuition.
Well, I think that the soccer story comes back because I don't think you can rely only on the data, but you can add it up to where. So my gut feeling is coming from something I experienced or I think I know or I'm convinced about, and the machine learning stuff brings in for me a new insight. So I combine it with my gut feeling, and maybe it brings me on the next level of and that's where I think I wanted to go in that discussion. I think executive search or matchmaking isn't over because of automation or machine learning or artificial intelligence, but I think it brings in a very interesting time phrase now, because we can have much more insights, but we can bring in our social gut feeling, kind of non-structured, non-scientific knowledge, and combine that. And I think it's very interesting what's going on right now.
It's going to be fascinating. And a little earlier, you seem to invite people who have, other experts in the domain who have an opinion on where this could go to reach out to you. In the show notes, I will put in your connection on LinkedIn, which is a great place to go. I'll also put the squadra.nl, which is where you can read about that portfolio of companies, including matching and search. I'm curious.
Maybe I don't know if your format for this is fitting, but maybe if people try to reach out to me and there's an interesting discussion, or there's interesting insights coming out of it, maybe we can do a more like a group setting kind of podcast about this subject. I think it would be nice, but I don't know if it fits your format.
I love it. I consciously have no format because I remain open for playful opportunities like this. There was one lady who, she's sort of a physical therapist practitioner, and she was not, shall we say, comfortable and eager to jump on an international podcast, and so she actually brought a customer on. And so we had fun that way. So I think it's very flexible. So there is an open invitation for those that are listening, that if you are, I guess, knowledgeable or have a strong opinion about how to... What's that?
Or a critic caster, or...
So if you have a strong opinion, either for the old way or the new way, and then maybe you'd like to jump on, and we can either have a bit of a panel, or we can have 2 or 3 jump on. So that's that would be glorious. Just reach out to myself or Tjibbe, because I think organizations, companies would benefit by improving just a bit on this, because looking at how hard it is to find new people and how hard it is to keep new people. I think there's definitely some benefit, not only for the organizations, but also for the people. So that's an open invitation for everyone. And if we have something, if there's some strong opinions that come out of that, then I'm sure between Tjibbe and I, we can get that published in paper and online in places as well. This whole podcast is a platform for people to share their passion and their knowledge, and so let's go with that. So. Great idea, Tjibbe. Is there anything any question you want to fire back to me before we wrap up?
No, I heard one ping during the interview, and I promised you to shut down everything what was able to ping, but I
heard it as well. We failed. I think we tried to disable everything, but some of these damn applications are just disableable proof. I don't know. So lovely.
Sorry for that. Yeah.
Great. And this podcast will be published before the 24th of November. And so IT leaders, digital leaders in the Netherlands, if you have not already, then sign up for CIO Day. I think that's cioday.nl, I think, or .com. And that's going to go online this year. So I will be there, myself in the lobby, welcoming people, and Tjibbe will be there as part of the panel selecting the CIO of the Year award, and that is on 24th of November. So when this comes out, there might be still a chance for you to get in there. You can go register. I'm really curious how that top IT event in the Netherlands goes online, and we'll see you there, Tjibbe. So Tjibbe, thank you so much for joining. It's been thought-provoking as always, and a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, and keep up the good work. Good luck and everything. Bye.
Learn more at ebullient.com/podcast.